If everything in your life feels like it is going wrong at the same time, pay attention to this, because maybe you are not at the end of anything. Maybe you are exactly at the most uncomfortable point of a process that most people never have the courage to go through. And no, this is not empty motivation. This is a pattern. It happens more often than people realize. And the problem is that most people quit right when this pattern starts to show up, because it hurts, it confuses you, and makes it feel like you are going in the wrong direction, when in reality you might be closer than ever to making something work. There is a strange moment in any real attempt to change your life, where everything seems to start going wrong at once. You start something new and nobody cares. You try again and you fail. You put in effort and see no results. Things around you feel stuck. Opportunities do not show up. Problems begin to appear out of nowhere. Your mind starts doubting everything. And worst of all, you start doubting yourself. And this is exactly the point where almost everyone interprets it as a sign to stop, as if it were a warning that this is not meant for you, when in reality it might be the opposite. As Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed. I have just found thousands of ways that will not work." And that sentence only makes sense when you actually live the process, because from the outside it sounds inspiring. But when you are inside it, it feels like chaos. It feels like mistakes. It feels like wasted time. And this is where something most people avoid talking about becomes real. Growth is not linear. It is messy. It tests your patience, your consistency, and most importantly, your ability to keep going without any validation. And this is where interpretation comes in. Some people call it God testing them. Others call it the universe applying pressure. Others simply call it reality. But no matter what you call it, the effect is the same. When you start stepping out of your normal patterns, something tries to pull you back, whether it is doubt, fear, exhaustion, distraction, or even external situations that seem to appear at the exact moment to stop you. And this does not happen because you are on the wrong path. Many times it happens because you finally left autopilot. As Michael Jordan said, "I have failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." And this is not just about failing. It is about continuing even when failure starts to feel like a permanent pattern, because there is a point where most people stop, and that point usually comes disguised as extreme frustration, as the feeling of being lost, as the belief that nothing is worth it. And if you look closely, that point shows up right before many people get any kind of result. The problem is that nobody shows this part. Nobody posts the moment they almost quit. Nobody records the day everything went wrong. Nobody talks about the phase where you work and earn nothing, where you try and nobody responds, where you create and nobody sees it. But this phase exists, and more than that, it is common. It is almost unavoidable when you are trying to build something real, because as Winston Churchill said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. What counts is the courage to continue." And maybe the hardest thing to accept is this: there is no clear sign telling you that you are about to win. There is no message, no warning. What exists are patterns, indirect signals, moments, where everything seems to go wrong at the same time, where your mind tries to protect you by making you stop, where the path feels harder than it should be. And that is exactly why so few people manage to reach the end of anything that truly matters. So the next time you feel like everything is stuck, like nothing is working, like maybe you chose the wrong path, stop for a second and think, what if this is not the end? What if this is just the part that nobody has the patience to go through? What if this is exactly the point where most people quit, and because of that, the point that separates those who continue from those who go back to the same place they have always been? Because in the end, it is not about never failing. It is not about never doubting. It is not about being certain. It is about continuing without any guarantee. It is about going through the hard part without knowing exactly when the good part begins. And if there is something that truly separates the people who get somewhere from those who stay stuck, it is not talent, it is not luck, it is simply the fact that they did not stop at the moment it was easiest to quit.